Today I want to tell you about what people love and what they hate about living in Cincinnati. What are the pros and cons of living in the city? It's all coming up, so stay tuned. All right, hey guys, my name's Eric Sztanyo from Keller Williams Realty and teamsztanyo.com, where we are helping you find your home and strengthen your family. And I am super excited to do this video. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. I've lived in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky for over 30 years now. I've lived on both sides of the river in Kentucky and Ohio, so I understand the city, but I wanted to do more in this video than just my own top 10 list of the pros and cons of living in the city. So if you're moving to the city or thinking of moving to the city and you want to know a little bit about it, this video is for you. I've got an extensive list, and instead of just pulling out kind of my random top 10 list of just the things that I like, what I did was send out a message to basically all of my friends. Send it out on Facebook of, hey, you've all lived here for 30 plus years or whatever, or longer. What do you love about the city? If somebody was moving here, doesn't know anything about the city, what would you tell them that you love about it? And then what would you tell them that you hate about it? So you're gonna get the actual answers from people who have lived in this city for many, many years. So in this video, you're gonna get the good, you're gonna get the bad, you're gonna get the ugly of what people actually think about living in the city. And the way I kind of rank them is, and the way I'm gonna do this on the video is the ones that got the most results and the most comments or likes, or basically the most response. We're gonna start from the least to the greatest. So make sure you stay till the end so you understand what people really, really, really love about living in the city. All right, number one, I'll jump right in. First thing that people said they liked about the city was the city leadership. That was a pro. Now, it's also 2021, so the same amount of people who said they liked the city leadership also said that it was a con of the city leadership. So that's where you're gonna get people pros and cons. There's actually been a little bit of scandal in city council lately, so that's being turned over, so stay tuned for that, but that was number one on the list. Number two, and this one just made me laugh, is somebody said it's not Cleveland. And there's kind of a running competition between Cincinnati and Cleveland. What's the best city in Ohio? If you go back into the early days of Bengals lore, there's this great moment with Sam White, who was the head coach, and all these fans were throwing beer bottles on the AstroTurf of a game like in the 80s. And he said,
will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here. You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati.
And he was chastising everyone for saying like, hey, we're civilized down here in Cincinnati. So that's number two, it's not Cleveland. Number three, what people love about living in the city is the beautiful downtown. Now, I've done some other videos on Smale Park, Washington Park, and really downtown has gotten way more beautiful in the last 10, 15 years, both with the revitalization of Over the Rhine, which is kind of north of downtown, but also down in the Banks area, which is down by the riverfront. You've got both professional stadiums, some really beautiful skyscrapers. If you're ever coming to Cincinnati for the first time, often you're actually coming from Kentucky in the airport, and you come around this bend and you see the skyline for the first time, you're like, whoa, that's like really pretty. That's a really beautiful city. So a lot of people really enjoy just the beauty of downtown and the surrounding areas. Okay, the fourth thing that people really like about living in Cincinnati that you don't get to experience in some other places is that you get 4 seasons of weather. So you get winter, spring, summer, and fall. All of them are unique. All of them are full seasons. And so you get snow and you get leaves turning color, and you get hot summers, and you get really excited when green comes in the springtime. Now there's a downside to that, which is there are actually 2 cons to this with the 4 seasons. The first con is that in the springtime, there's a pretty harsh allergy season. So if you're allergic to tree pollen or anything like that, any kind of plant pollen, it is pretty heavy every year. The second con, or something that people hate about Cincinnati and the weather, a lot of people don't like that it's gray a lot of the times. You know, when you get through February, you're like, oh man, I really need spring. Also in the summer, there can be pretty high humidity. It's not as high as like Georgia, South Carolina type humidity, but it's pretty sticky in especially like late July, August, in that time. All right, number 5 as a pro of living here is that there's a proud history. It's not one of the earliest cities in terms of being on the east coast of the country, but Cincinnati was settled around 1788, and a few notable marks about its history is number 1, it was a pivotal spot of the Underground Railroad during times of the Civil War. So as slaves were escaping the South and heading north, Cincinnati was a place where a lot of that was coordinated. In fact, there's a really cool museum downtown called the Underground Railroad Museum where you can learn about this in the history. Another thing we're really proud of here is we have the oldest professional baseball team, the Cincinnati Reds. And so one of my favorite events of the entire year in Cincinnati, it's kind of like a holiday of the city, is the opening day parade, where we start in Findlay Market and we make our way down to the stadium, and it's basically like everyone stops working and it's a party. It's also at the beginning of the baseball year, so you're kind of celebrating that winter is over and spring is here. And it's just a really, really fun time and a really, really unique part of the city. Okay, number 6 that a lot of people love about the city is the diversity in different neighborhoods. Many of them are walkable, and the topography itself in Cincinnati lends itself to creating these different pockets of neighborhoods that all have kind of their own different unique personalities. So that's really fun. I mean, as you get around the outskirts of the city and the I-275 loop, you get more into suburb land, and that kind of starts to look a little bit the same. But inside the core of the city, you've got a lot of different neighborhoods that are really fun. So neighborhoods like Oakley, Norwood, North Side, Clifton, over the Rhine, and in Kentucky you've got Newport, Kentucky, Bellevue, Ludlow, Fort Thomas, areas that have a lot of different character to them. So people really like that. So one of the cons about living in the city that people said that they don't like is that there's a poor public transportation system. And I would say that's kind of accurate. The number one major public transportation system is the busing system, and it's not bad. We don't have a subway here because of the river kind of makes that really difficult. It kind of splits the city in two from Ohio to Kentucky. We do have a streetcar that was put downtown. The only problem is it doesn't really go to where anyone lives. It just kind of circles from over the Rhine, which is kind of a entertainment and restaurant district, down to the Banks, which is like the stadiums and another entertainment district. It doesn't really get to where a lot of people work, which would have been uptown in the hospital and the University of Cincinnati region. Number 7 of why people love living in Cincinnati is the river and the landscape and the aesthetics. And you know, it is really beautiful. We're not really flat like a lot of people were comparing it to Columbus. A lot of people go to school at Ohio State and they're like, it's just all flat here. There's nothing really pretty to look at. Here, because of the river, you have these valleys, you have these different hills. Cincinnati is often called the city of 7 hills. You've got these great views, you've got these beautiful bridges downtown, you've got these valleys and crests and different angles and aesthetics that are really beautiful. People really like that about living here. Okay, I'm gonna throw in another con here at number 7, which is some people said traffic. Overall, I would say traffic compared to other cities is pretty light. In fact, a lot of people who are here from California or different places are like, you can get around anywhere within like 15 minutes. And that's basically true. But one thing I would say that is a major con is the Brent Spence Bridge. If you don't know what that is, it's where I-71 and I-75 kind of come together right at downtown and then move in from north down into Kentucky. And these are two major highways that connect really Florida all the way up to Michigan. So there's a ton of traffic. So if you are, this is a pro tip, if you're moving to Cincinnati, I strongly recommend maybe living either in northern Kentucky where you don't have to travel into Cincinnati, or likewise Cincinnati where you don't have to travel into Kentucky, or on the east side. If you can kind of stay on that I-275 loop or 471, you're gonna save yourself a ton of stress and headaches. Okay, number 8, this is a little bit different angle, but a lot of people like about Cincinnati that there's an established economy here, and it's a diverse economy. I did another video recently where I talked about Cincinnati is a place you can grow down roots, and part of that is because it's not overly dependent on any one industry. There are a lot of different industries here in the city, so if one takes a hit, it's not gonna crush the city like a city like Detroit happened with the automotive industry. So it's very diverse, and if you wanna grow a business, it's a great place to try to grow a business because cost of living is really low and you've got a lot of opportunity to grow. So a lot of people really like the economy living in Cincinnati. All right, number 9 that people love about the city is the food. Most people, when they think of Cincinnati, they think of Cincinnati chili, and it is for sure its own unique thing. In fact, I think I'm gonna do a video of like the different stages from hating Cincinnati chili to like you're waking up in the middle of the night craving it. It is a weird, unique thing. You definitely got to try it when you're here. It is local to the area. But another one that many people mentioned in my comments when I sent out the survey is Geta. Most people don't know what Geta is. It's basically kind of like an Odie sausage kind of thing. There's a lot of German people who rooted themselves here and settled here over time. And so that's kind of a German type of food. Then you got to definitely check out Grater's Ice Cream. That's a well-known franchise ice cream here. That's really, really good. And the restaurant scene itself downtown has really improved over the last 20 years or so. A lot of really good options in Over the Rhine, in Covington, in the Banks, different areas around town where you can get some really, really good food. Oh, not to mention, it's a great city for craft beer. Awesome breweries like Rheingeist, 50 West, Mad Tree, and then in Kentucky you've got Braxton Brewery, and then of course you've got all the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky. And so Cincinnati is kind of a hub for great bourbon and craft breweries, so that's a definite plus to living in the city. Okay, just a reminder that as we're going through this list, these ones that I'm going to mention here at the last part of this video are getting more and more votes. So these are the things that people love most about the city. And number 10 is the people. The people are great. They're friendly. There's a strong sense of community within the city because it's not too big. You kind of feel close to other people. There are strong values. There are strong family values. In fact, I did another video where Cincinnati is a great place where you can grow roots into the city. And so it's got a great feel where you like your neighbors and you get it. Most people get along with one another. So it's also great for kids, a great park system. It's just a really great place for families in general. All right, number 11, this one got 9 votes from people who responded to my thread here, was that it's an affordable city. And we've done another few videos, make sure you check those out about the cost of living in Cincinnati. Cost of living is fantastic, especially the housing compared to other cities around the country. Your money goes a long way here. So it's affordable to live here in Cincinnati. People obviously love that. The coolest guy who responded on my thread, I want to read his quote here on what he said, which was, "It's the only cool place left that's affordable." And I was like, hey, you grew up here. What do you mean by that? And this guy's in a band. He travels around to a lot of different cities. And he was like, no, I legitimately think it's got enough character and it's unique where there's some of those other cities that are kind of out of the box. Let's say Austin, Texas or something like that, where it's cool and people know it's cool and it's being flooded. And so cost of living is kind of rising because of that. Cincinnati, in a way, is like its own little secret where people are like, I know this is really cool, and a lot of people aren't moving here. All right, number 12 on the list, this one got 10 votes that a lot of people like, is the professional sports. So we've got 3 professional sports teams, the Cincinnati Reds, the Cincinnati Bengals, and FC Cincinnati, the recent soccer team that came into town. And there are a lot of loyal fans. We have a history of some success, especially on the Reds side. In the 70s, the Big Red Machine was like one of the best baseball teams of all time. Bengals have gone to the Super Bowl twice, never won it. But in the last 30 years, and this goes to another con of living in the city, something that people hate, is like, it is really, 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 really hard to be a Cincinnati Bengals or Reds fan.
Well, this is going to hurt like a mother.
I believe we have like maybe the longest drought of not having a playoff win of a team. So I think for the Reds, it goes back to 95, I want to say. And for the Bengals, it's earlier than that. I want to say it's like 89. And we went to the playoffs 5 straight years when we had Andy Dalton and lost every single time in heartbreaking fashion. 2015, I don't know if I'll ever forget. We had the game won against our dreaded rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers. All we had to do is basically take a knee. Jeremy Hill fumbles, Vontaze Perfect and Pac-Man Jones both get penalties. I could go on and on about this, but you have loyal fans here. It's fun to watch. If you adopt these teams, just what I'm saying is brace yourself for heartache. But my hope and my heart is being healed because we've got Joe Burrow. We've got Jamar Chase. Here we go. I'm ready for another tragic heartbreak. I'm sure it's going to happen. Okay, number 13 is Children's Hospital. This one was kind of under the radar, but a lot of people said, and I've had a lot of friends who have had kids who have used Children's Hospital, and it's a world renowned. They're amazing at what they do. And so a lot of people actually come to the city because Cincinnati Children's Hospital is one of the best children's hospitals, if not the best in the nation. It's consistently ranked in the top 5, if not like the top hospital. Okay, number 14, this is a lot of people mention this as at the top of their list. They said it's a big city with a small town feel. And so the Cincinnati Metro has about 2.2 million overall when you're counting in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati. But what's really cool about it is, I mentioned this in another video, you've got this sense of accountability to the people, because it's kind of like that Kevin Bacon game where you're never too far removed from anyone in the city. Everyone kind of knows who you are. And there's a bit of a running joke when people ask you, where did you go to school? They actually mean like, where did you go to high school? And so it's got this like small town feel, but you've got all these big city amenities like the pro sports and businesses and arts and music and, restaurants. And so people really like that. Some people will overlook the city because it's not huge and because it doesn't get all the publicity, but the people who live here just know it's like, yeah, it's just right. All right, last thing that people love about living in Cincinnati is there is always something to do. There's lots to do, from concerts and art and museums and murals and parks and hiking and the breweries and the Bourbon Trail and the professional sports teams. There's always something fun to do. Then we got Kings Island and we got other amusement parks and things like that. It's a fun place to be. And people might not think about that when you're watching this video, but Cincinnati has a lot to do. It has a lot going for it and a lot of fun things. There's never a weekend when there's not a festival or some kind of event that you can hop on if you want to. So if you want to learn more about living in Cincinnati, if you want to know about the top school districts, if you want to know about the different neighborhoods, if you want to know about the cost of living here, we've got tons of other video content. Be sure to check on these other videos that we've made here. If this video is helpful for you, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you are moving to Cincinnati, give us a call at Team Sztanyo 513-813-6293. Would love to help you out. Would love to introduce you to the city even more. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.